What's up? Mike Renner here, Renner Ranks podcast, talking about the 5 most disappointing rookie first rounders through 5 weeks of the NFL season. At number 5, we're going to go Carolina Panthers quarterback Bryce Young. I get that rookie quarterback, difficult to translate. The fact that Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud are doing better than him, not something that I'd worry too much about if you're a Carolina Panthers fan. Different situations, different strokes for different folks. I go back to that 2016 NFL quarterback draft class where it was Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott. Seemingly every single year of their career, you would have picked a different one who was better. Right now, it's probably Jared Goff. A couple of years ago, it was probably Dak Prescott. 4 years ago, it was probably Carson Wentz. So these things fluctuate. But I'll just say Bryce Young, 30th in EPA per play now in the NFL. Just a step above guys like Mac Jones and Zach Wilson. Not great company to be involved with. But, man, he struggled with his decision-making, something that I think was his biggest strength coming out of Alabama. He's missed linebackers, missed corners, missed safeties, thrown some balls up for grabs that are uncharacteristic. Hopefully that's a play speed thing. Hopefully that's him just adjusting to the NFL game. I think his accuracy has still been good, but he just has nothing to go to attacking down the football field. They do need to give him some weapons. They need to get him some speed. They need to get him some guys who can separate. Until then, really, the jury will still be out on Bryce Young. All right, at number 4, we have Tyree Wilson, 7th overall pick, Raiders edge rusher. Hasn't really locked down a starting job across there from Max Crosby on that Raiders defensive line. He's still rotating in and out, but when he is in, man, he's consistently the last guy in that Raiders defensive line off the ball, consistently slow to read, run, or pass. Only 4 pressures on 86 pass rushing snaps this year, according to PFF, because truly, a lot of times he's coming off the line of scrimmage thinking it's a run. And then he has to adjust the fact that the quarterback's dropping back to pass. Like, you still see the wheels turning in his head snap after snap. Not to say it wasn't terribly expected. Like, that was kind of who he was over his Texas Tech career. He got drafted where he got drafted because he's a physical freak. Like, he was the Trayvon Walker of this year's class. But I kind of pushed back on that comp because Walker was a junior coming out. Tyree Wilson was 5th year. Like, he should have had this stuff kind of figured out already. There's time. Again, these are early takes here in a guy's NFL career. But, the guys who do end up being busts at the NFL level, I'll say, the guys who, 3 or 4 years down the line, and we're looking back and saying, what happened? Well, usually they start off their careers looking like what happened too. So Tyree Wilson, not a great start for him. At number 3, I'm going to go with Chargers wide receiver Quentin Johnston. Only 44 yards so far, with Mike Williams out in their last game against the Las Vegas Raiders. So he's still starting in that 3 deep when they go 3 wide. He's only had 1 catch. I'm worried about Quentin Johnston making a big impact on this Chargers team. Now, I will say this. He's their most explosive wide receiver. He has been open deep a handful of times that Justin Herbert just hasn't looked his way. I think after this bye week, Chargers may dial him some stuff up because his speed is real. And when he gets to top speed, he is outrunning corners. He's a tall guy who's not a quick starter. Tall guys traditionally aren't quick starters, but when he gets out in the open field, he is running away from guys. So hopefully they get him more down the football field. But his route running right now is just not too precise, a little bit clunky, needs to get more consistent. That was who he was coming out of TCU, though. He was always a guy who needed time to develop. Hopefully we see some improvement from him as the weeks go on. And hopefully they get him featured just a little more in their offense, dial up some shot plays to him, utilize that deep speed. At number 2, disappointing first rounder, we're going to the Dallas Cowboys and defensive tackle Mazi Smith. We're back into the deep part of the 20s now, so it shouldn't be too much of a disappointment for a guy to come in and maybe not making a big impact. But Mazi Smith looks like a liability. They drafted a nose tackle there, pick 26, to shore up this run game. And he is not only not shored it up, might be the weakest link against the run so far. Against the 49ers this past week, he truly was their weakest link. He could not hold up to double teams, could not, recognize blocks quickly enough in the running game to stack shed, to hold his point at the line of scrimmage. And for a team that needed defensive tackle help, him only playing 79 snaps so far should show you kind of what he's been doing in practice and for the coaches, because if he was looking better in practice, boy, he'd be out there getting more snaps in the games. Mazi Smith right now, just not quite play speed up to snuff. It just is not quite reading and reacting the way you want an NFL defensive tackle to read and react. And at number 1, sadly, we're staying in the NFC East, where it's Washington Commanders cornerback Emanuel Forbes. Commanders fans probably knew where this was headed from the rip on this video. The man's had a tough go of it, I will say this. He's been asked to guard A.J. Brown and DJ Moore in 2 of the 5 weeks this season. 2 of the better, running back-esque builds at the wide receiver position that you'll see. And now, why do I mention that? Because Emanuel Forbes was the lightest cornerback ever drafted in the first round. 166 pounds coming out of Mississippi State. Now, he's listed at 180 now. But that play strength, he's getting thrown by these guys. So he cannot stick with bigger-bodied NFL wide receivers. That was the worry coming out. I literally was on a draft show on Bleacher Report on draft night. A.J. Brown was on it. I said, I can't believe they drafted him, given he has to go against A.J. Brown twice a year. I just don't see how it's going to end well. And, 5 weeks in, here we are, 401 yards allowed, second most of any cornerback in the NFL so far. Now, he'll get stronger. He'll get better. There are still splash plays that he's making. I believe he has 4 pass breakups. But it's not only worrisome that he's been getting kind of bounced around by these bigger body wide receivers, but also when asked to come up and fill and run support, when asked to tackle on screens and things like that, his effort just hasn't been there. He's making some business decisions, not wanting to lay his body on the line. And that's scary because that really wasn't something he was doing at Mississippi State. I didn't think that was a big issue. I was worried about the size, obviously. It's the NFL. The dudes are bigger, faster, stronger. But I thought he had a little more want to. But, man, he's pulled back from some tackles, stopped when he could have gotten in on some plays that, if I'm a Commanders fan right now, I'm a little worried about the start to Emanuel Forbes' career. More than a little worried because he's obviously number 1 on this list. There you have it. The 5 rookie first-rounders who have had a rough go of it, shall we say. The most disappointing rookie first-rounders